Hi and welcome back. Really quick, we're going to get into this video because I have a lot to say today. First things first, I am home again. I was here the first week of May. I came on 2nd of May and then I was here till about 20th of May. Today is 15th of June and I'm back. I was literally so homesick for the first time in my life and I genuinely did not know how to cope with it because I've never been homesick for the 3 years that I've been away. Probably because I had college to, go back to. That took so much of your time and then you get really busy with it. And this time also I had a lot of work, so I don't know, that's probably not a good explanation. Anyway, I was feeling really homesick. Even while I was working, I was like, I just want to go home. I don't know, I don't feel so good here. And for the first couple of days when I was feeling this, I was so weirded out by the fact that how am I not happy in Bombay? You know what I mean? Like, that's my city. Like, I consider it my city at this point. Anyway, that's not the point. I wasn't feeling very happy and I was feeling homesick and I just wanted to come back home. So just for fun, I was like, I'm not really busy from this date to this date. I don't have any event that I have to attend. I don't have any place I have to be. I don't have any job booked. So why don't I just go home? You know what I mean? Like, what is the harm to just look at the prices of the flights? And I genuinely have never seen flights this cheap. So I was like, dude, I am going back home. This has to be a sign. A week ago, I just booked my tickets and I was like, I'm going. I was like, thank God. It's not like I don't like Bombay. I love Bombay, but I just feel like I'm better able to clear my head here. I liked how everything was just sorted here, and I think I missed that. Now that we're talking about it, you know how I love when people talk about their experiences and their struggles and whatever. I was thinking about that. I sometimes open my DMs and I see people say that we saw this and like we were able to relate to this part you said and whatever. And I really like when people say that to me because I feel like I'm just able to connect there more. I was feeling a lot of things for a couple of weeks, so I just felt like maybe I should just come here and maybe help someone make sense of their thoughts, or maybe just make sense of my own thoughts because there's so many. Anyway, so I'll give you a story time, right? So I'm at dinner with this person that I'm not very close to them. It's just I meet them once or twice a year. So anyway, that person just out of the blue goes like, oh, you do things because you want to post them on social media, right? And I was like, what the hell? Where is that even coming from? And it's not like we've ever spoken about my social media or whatever, because I make it a point to not talk about anything that I do unless they ask me. I don't talk about all of that. So anyway, that person said that and I was like, what the hell do you even mean by that? And then I had to sit there and explain myself and I got so defensive and I hate that. Sat there and I explained myself and it was so... Now that I think about it, Alicia, what the hell were you thinking? That was so humiliating. I came back and then I was like, you know what? Just to hell with that person. I don't really care. But then a couple of days later, I noticed that I was still thinking about it. And I was like, why? I said this to myself. I was like, Alicia, I think it's time to just address it because you can't live with this sentence at the back of your mind and do everything if it's bothering you this much. So you get told like 15,000 things a week, right? And then if one thing is striking out so much, it's hard to admit, it hurts to admit, but maybe there might be a teeny tiny truth to it. That's why it's bothering you so much, because otherwise, so if I say right now like, oh my God, I hate your green hair, given that you don't have green hair. If you have brown hair and I say to your face, I hate your green hair, you're just gonna look at me and you'll be like, what the hell are you even saying? And you'll just probably look at me and think that I'm crazy because where am I seeing the green in your hair? But if I say something very specific about what you do or something about your personality and that really strikes and that really, hurts you a little bit, maybe you get defensive like I did and you never think about it again, because we all have our protective and defensive mechanisms and we just use them to protect our ego and stuff, and that's completely fair, that's human, that's fine. But I wasn't very okay with it and I was like, I don't want to feel that way and I want to know why I'm feeling that way because that's not who I am. I started thinking about it and I think the brave thing honestly in these circumstances is to just look at yourself, like really look at yourself in the mirror, just stand there and look at yourself and ask yourself, what if they're right? What if they see something in me that I'm not? And I'm not saying that you should believe other people's perception of yourself, but on the other hand, there are certain mechanisms in our mind that protect ourselves from the worst parts of ourselves, and that not the worst parts of ourselves, but I think just prevent you from seeing all aspects of yourself, like because there's a lot of bias when it comes to it. Then I came to the conclusion, it's not that I do things because I want to post them, that's not it, but do I have content in mind when I'm doing things? Yes. So if I were to explain this in easier terms, if I want to post something on my story, right, I won't necessarily go out and go to a dinner and click pictures of the food and click pictures of myself and then post them. But if I'm already at dinner with someone and I'm already dressed up and and the food is already there and it's looking nice, will I take pictures of it thinking that, oh, it might create a cute post? Yeah, I would do that. If I'm at a beach and the sunset is looking nice, will I click a picture of it? Yes. And I'll think, oh, this is gonna make a cute story. But it's not like I would specifically go somewhere to think, okay, maybe I can get a story there. Like, that's not what I do. Which is kind of fair, because that's also my job. Yes, I sometimes think about things in terms of content, but that's also my job. So I think then that just sort of stopped bothering me, because now I had an explanation of why I was feeling the way I was. And I feel like the reason I was feeling bad was because of how they said it. Or maybe not. I think I just perceived it. I can't really be sure of how they like wanted to phrase it. Maybe they phrased it wrong and I just went into a whole spiral for no reason. What the hell? I perceived it in a way that made me feel very superficial and fake. And I didn't like that, because I genuinely don't want to be that. Also, I feel like when you do that whole thing of what if they're right, there are like two answers that you can come up with. So it can either be no, they're not right, which is great, because then you become more self-aware. Whatever you think about yourself, you sort of solidify and validate that belief system, and that's great. On the other hand, it can be, yeah, they are correct, and that is terrifying, because you're like, what the hell, how did I not know that about myself? I've been living myself for 20 years. I think you also become very defensive like I did, because you don't want to accept that. But then when you do accept it and you're like, okay, yeah, maybe they are right, it opens up like a whole new door for self-improvement, and I think that's great. I think it's maybe daunting, and it's like kind of a hard task to admit, and it's a lot of hard work after this if you want to improve on that particular aspect. But I think it's a win at the end of the day. Like, with this question, there are no wrong or right answers. It's just an answer, and then you can do whatever you want to do with it. And then I think from there I started spiraling a little bit. Like, that was the beginning of it, and I was like, okay, maybe that person saw this in me that I wasn't that aware of. So there could be so many things that other people see in me that I just don't know about. I started describing about who I think I am. I was like, okay, my name is Alicia, I'm 20 years old, I live in Mumbai, I create content on Formula 1, I'm an actor, I'm a model, I have my own brand. And literally just the things I could list was what I do. It was nothing about myself, like who I am as a person. So I feel like I became my work in a way. Like I focused so much of who I am and my sense of worth and my sense of self on what I do rather than who I am. Then I was like, okay, let's rephrase. Let's not talk about who I am. Let's talk about who I am if I remove my achievements, if I remove my job, if I remove all of those aspects of my life. I couldn't answer. I used to really pride myself on the fact that I know myself and I'm very self-aware, and I couldn't answer a basic question of who I am without my achievements, and that was so scary. I genuinely, I don't want to scare you, but I genuinely want you to just pause the video, or maybe after this video just think about it and remove all of your achievements and just ask yourself who I am. And if you can answer that, amazing, you're doing everything correct in your life. But if you're not, it would be uncomfortable at first, but I think I can just give you peace in the fact that you'll eventually come up with answers, and that you're not alone in this. I had the same experience, and I'm sure a lot of people will have a pretty similar experience. But also, when you do that, don't just say that, okay, my name is Alicia, or like whatever your name is. Don't say that and I'm a kind person. Like, what do you mean you're kind? Just give yourself proof. I'm kind because I did this. For example, one of the things that I used to describe myself was I am resilient, and then I had to list down at least 5 instances where things have gone really bad, and then I've come back and I've bounced back from it, and that's why I think I'm resilient. So I think it's important to give yourself proof, because that makes you believe that whatever I'm saying about myself, that's true, because I have solid, valid proof. Anyway, moving forward, I'm not saying that I want to completely disintegrate with my work. I love what I do. I genuinely want to clarify again, I'm not being ungrateful for anything. I love what I do. I get to meet really, really cool people. I get to work with brands that I look up to and that I love. And just, I really, really, really love what I do. But I think at some point, I became so focused on what I do rather than who I am. And that just sort of distorted my sense of being and my sense of self. The lines became so blurry, right? Of success, of just being comfortable with who you are. And I feel like somewhere along the way, safely became associated with success. Does that make sense? So if I'm posting, if I'm doing a job, like a modeling or an acting job, if I am selling out my collections on my brand, then that's great. Of course, that's great. Objectively also, that's great. But then that is safety. I can breathe and I can just be like, I am worthy. And it's like, so okay, this is so hard to explain. So I feel like I started tying my worth and my sense of self with my work. Let's just talk about Instagram for now. So if I'm posting, then I'm safe, then I'm okay, I can breathe, everything is great in the world. But if I'm not, if on a race week I stop posting on my broadcast, I stop posting reels, I stop posting stories, I stop doing everything on Instagram, I will get so anxious about it. And I would be like, okay, if I don't post this, people will forget me. And whatever I've worked for, within a week, everything will go. Maybe it is the truth. Maybe in the social media world that we live in as creators, maybe that is true. But I feel like when you start doing things that you love, especially when you start doing them not because you love them, but because you are so fearful of the fact that you'll be forgotten if you don't do them, I think that gives you so much anxiety. And as a kid also, I was like, I don't want to be miserable when I grow up, not because of the work I do. I want to be happy. I want to do things that I like. I want to do things that inspire me. And what I do right now, I love it. And the fact that was making me so anxious, and it wasn't the job in itself, like that wasn't the problem. I think it was my mindset and how I was tying everything to just posting or just working that was messing up my brain and how I'm viewing everything else. And I don't want that. I don't want to exist only in relation to how productive I am being, and I don't want to create and just post things out of the fear of being forgotten. And also there's this whole other school of thought of obsession, like you need to be obsessed with your work, you need to be completely into it, work balance, there's nothing of that, just nothing of that sort and stuff like that. And that's a school of thought that I respect. I think I also believe that in a way, or I used to really believe that initially, but now I think it's just not working for me. It's good to be very, very involved, but I think sometimes, I do strongly believe now that you can really love what you do, you can be very, very grateful about your job and about the things that you do in life, and still want to take a step back to just breathe and be by yourself. And that doesn't mean that you're not grateful, that doesn't mean that you don't like what you do, that doesn't mean that you're disrespecting anyone else. That just means that sometimes you want to take a step back, and that's okay. And this in no way is me saying that I want to stop posting or anything. I don't. I just want to change the mindset that I have associated with it, and I think it'll take time, but I think I'm just working on it. And I feel like also, okay, now I'm really building my thoughts here, but when you have this mindset, right, I think your success starts feeling like a relief rather than something that you should be happy about. So when you achieve a goal, it's like, okay, tick mark, what next? You feel happy for like 10 minutes, right? You feel happy, you feel proud about what you've done, and then suddenly there's a dip in your energy and everything is like, okay, thank God I was able to do it, thank God I didn't disappoint anyone, thank God I didn't disappoint myself, what is next? And then whatever you worked so hard for, that just goes down the drain, because you don't even get to enjoy it because you're already on the next goal. On the other hand, when you don't achieve something, when you lose out on something, when that happens, it's the end of the world. That feeling starts lasting for weeks, right? And everything starts reminding you of that one loss. You will start perceiving things as signs that, oh, they're like, the world is reminding you of that one thing that you weren't able to achieve. But when you're winning, that stays for 10 minutes. That's a miserable way to live, okay? And I don't want that. And I was doing that. I'm telling you, I was doing that. I also feel like you start chasing this finish line. Let's say I achieve goal A, and goal A was my finish line, but then the minute I achieved that, my goal changed. So I'm just chasing this finish line that I keep moving forward. So I'm never achieving my goals that way. I'll talk about this also in detail, but I feel like you also start comparing yourself to others in the process, because you start comparing your finish line to their finish line, and their finish line is not what you know because you don't know them personally. Your finish line becomes their reality, whatever they're living. So if I'm comparing myself with, say, a foreign content creator, that honestly does not make sense for me, because they come from a very different background, they come from different connections, they come from countries where Formula 1 is a big thing. There are little races there and there are little sponsors present there, and India is not the market for that. So I can't really go out and compare myself to their reality, because then I'll be really sad. And also, I don't know who they are, I don't know their struggles, so it just does not make sense. But when that happens, when you're not comparing yourself to others, I think it's very human nature to just compare yourself with someone, because otherwise you'll always be stagnant. So I get that. And I feel like I started comparing myself to my future self. That's great if that's inspiring you, but that can sometimes, at least with me, it started becoming a burden that I had to achieve, right? And now this problem with this future self is that is a figment of your imagination. That doesn't exist. Sure, that can be a great way to look forward in life and be like, okay, I'll be this one day. That's great. That's a good way to think about it. But now, the downside of it is that your future self, your potential self, because it's a figment of your imagination, it's all in your control, right? So that person will always be doing better than you. So my future self is always doing better than me, is always being more productive than I am. She has more connections. She has more experience. She is happier. She is just better than me in every single category you can imagine. So I feel like sometimes it's just good to not live in this gap mindset. Sometimes it's good to just look back, be like, okay, I was here, now I'm here, I have made enough growth, and just sit with it and just feel proud and happy about yourself. For a while, just stop thinking about where you want to go in life, what you want to do. Just breathe. I think that's what I've been trying to do. Just stay present. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't have goals. I'm not saying that. I think you should continue growing. I think you should have goals that you look forward to, but don't tie your self-worth and your sense of self to that. And also, I feel like with this potential self thing, right, I think you should just be a little bit flexible with it, a little bit open to just going with the flow, because I feel like if you would have asked my 2020 self that what would you be doing in 5 years, if I tell her that you'll be creating content on Formula 1, she'll be like, what the hell is Formula 1? Because I started watching it like 2022. In 2025, 5 years later, I love what I do. I think Formula 1 is a huge part of my personality at this point. Let life unfold. Keep working hard. Keep working on yourself. It's completely okay to not be satisfied, but I think you should just look for reasons to be happy along the way. I think it's very powerful when you can look for reasons to be happy when there aren't a lot of things to be happy about. And just know that sometimes it's okay to just be. You don't always have to be doing something or chasing something every single second of your day. Sometimes it's just okay to just take some time out of your life and just be like, I'm proud of where I am. I'm excited about where I'm going. I don't know if any of it made sense. I hope it did. If I have to tell you one thing at the end of this video, that would be to just be happy, do things that you like, spend time with people that you love and people who make you happy. Leave people who don't make you happy. You don't have to stay with people who are making you miserable, because what is the point in that? I strongly have started believing that I want to enjoy my life wherever I am, and I feel like everyone should do that. Because why not? Why do you not want to enjoy your life? Have fun, keep smiling, and I will see you next time. Bye.